but I'm not pronouncing it that way. I'm pronouncing it how it is phonetically, and it's Young Ho Koo.
I know, I'm just pronouncing it the way he does.
That's fine, and if I ever meet him, I will address him as such, but I read it phonetically, and it's Young Ho Koo.
All right. Let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens. A few here. Morgan Moses, 3 years, $15 million. Zadarius Smith, 4 years, $35 million. And Marcus Williams, 5 years, $70 million. Ravens went on a little bit of a spending spree there, $120 million on those three players.
I like the Williams decision. I mean, especially for both parties. I mean, Williams is a really good safety. Plus, if you want to be a safety, there's few places that you go to get more experience than Baltimore. I mean, look at their roster, what they've had in the past. Reed, Weddle, safeties flourish there. So whatever they're teaching them there, they can become monsters.
Yeah, here's my thing with Marcus Williams. You overpay for consistency, you overpay for experience, and you overpay for leadership. And he's got all three. You don't have to overpay three people for the one thing for those three things. You're overpaying one guy, potentially, depends on how you look at it. I don't think it's an overpayment because of those three things. But if you're going to spend money, you spend money on leadership, you spend money on consistency, you spend money on experience. He's got all of that. Great signing. 5 years, $70 million. I think it's fine. Zadarius Smith, I think is a steal. 4 years, $35 million. You get him for less than $9 million a year. I think that was a good signing. And Morgan Moses, decent lineman. Doesn't really do much for me though. It's not one that I'm super excited about. Which, it just is what it is.
I like what the Ravens are doing. They were one of the most injured teams last year. So I expect them to be pretty scary if they can avoid that this year. Marcus Williams, great signing. Wish we could have gotten him, but I understand him for going to a real contender. I also understand Joe Douglas not wanting to overpay even more than that. And we adapted.
You guys have other things you need to spend your money on.
Well, I mean, $5 million for
we'll get to it.
$5 million for a tackle isn't bad at all.
No. I was talking about Marcus Williams. The Jets and the Ravens were offering him the same amount, and he went to the Ravens, which is fine. I don't blame him.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Morgan Moses. But yeah, Marcus Williams, I think there are a few teams that he could have got paid and would have really worked out. Depending on his goals, Baltimore's probably, of all of the teams that I think he would fit, is the team that's most ready for success. Because for me, it would be...
Yeah, he got paid and they're a contender.
They also have... Adding him on there gives them probably, if healthy, one of the best secondaries in the league.
Absolutely. And in my mind, the teams that could really use him would have been the Ravens, who got him, the Jets, who didn't, the Falcons, they need everything, and the Dolphins. He just went to the best that would have been in that group. So
yeah, he went for the best chance for success. Again, you can't fault him there. And they're probably all offering him the same amount of cash. So.
Yeah, roughly. And then the next team, going alphabetically, are 5 guys who put themselves in a good position to win themselves a championship. That's the Buffalo Bills. Titans guard Roger Saffold, only a 1-year deal, but he's still solid. This one's a little confusing because I don't think they need him, but former Buccaneers tight end O.J. Howard signed a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. Very team-friendly for what tight ends are going at.
It's got to be a depth signing because Dawson Knox had the injuries, so it's a solid move.
Defensive
it's a backup, and if you have a 2 tight end set and you have one on either side, it definitely gives Trubisky more options, and spreads things out, because the one thing that killed the Bills this year, in my opinion, was the fact that everybody, and this was probably the emergence of Dawson Knox, was the fact that every team keyed on Diggs, and you're trying to at least spread that out, and you got a reliable guy who you know what you're getting with him.
Yeah.
That's basically what I can say for O.J. Howard.
So O.J. Howard...
J.D. McKissic, for some reason, swerved the Bills. I still don't understand that from his perspective.
We'll talk about swerves, and I'll touch on that. Actually, I'll touch on that now because Washington's at the end. Well, Washington's at the end, so we'll talk about this now. Think about it from J.D. McKissic's position. One, the Bills seem to hate running the ball. So, for whatever reason, they put the ball in Josh Allen's hand way too much. You'd be the third running back on the depth chart behind Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, and they just re-signed Isaiah McKenzie as well. What?
Yeah, McKenzie's like a gadget guy. I think McKissic could easily become the second running back on that team, if not even the first. I don't think Singletary and Moss are that good. I think started turning it on in playoffs, but that, who knows if that's a real thing or if that's just a fluke. And McKissic is a pass catcher, man. That would be Josh Allen's best friend when he's scrambling.
I don't think it was a fluke. I think the fluke is that the Bills have two very good running backs, or running backs have the potential to be very good, and they just don't fucking use them. That's what I think the fluke is.
Well, yeah, the Bills have never been... I've been saying this for years. They need to get a workhorse running back, and that's really what they've been missing, but they're really trying to go with guys that they can utilize in different situations, and I think that's just what it came down to.
Yeah, I think for the same amount of money, if I'm J.D. McKissic, I proved that I'm at least as good. Last year, I proved that I'm at least as good as Antonio Gibson. So pay me, start me. I think he has the best chance to start on Washington. At the very least, get equal touches. That's what I think it came down to for him.
Get the money and get the championship and beat out those other guys and show them the best, but
he doesn't want to do that. He wants to go be miserable in Washington with Wentz.
Yeah.
Well, it's also moving, uprooting your family. If he's got kids, it's a lot. So I can understand the attraction of staying in one place.
Another place he should have gone if he wants to be a starter, Atlanta. Like, Patterson's probably going to have to move back to wide receiver.
Anybody on this podcast could be a starter in Atlanta.
Yeah. Anyways, let's keep going. Speaking of Washington, Tim Settle. I don't get it. I don't think Tim Settle's all that great. I guess he adds depth. He's reliable, I guess. But they signed him for 2 years. The big moneymaker, Von Miller, 6 years, $120 million. No chance he plays all 6 years. And if he does, well then, fuck me.
Well, I'd like to see the options. I would like to see the options that are included in that. Not to mention, is this contract front loaded, back loaded? Like, this just came out as we were about to start talking, so there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But you guys got my opinion earlier. I think this is a veteran move. They're looking for a leader on defense that can help a very young, very deep and talented defense. And he's been there and done that on multiple teams. So that's what Buffalo paid that money for.
Exactly. What I said just a few minutes ago. You overpay for leadership. You overpay for consistency. You overpay for experience. Von Miller has 2 Super Bowls. He's got experience. Coming off of a Super Bowl in which he had a sack. I understand the Bengals' offensive line is held together by gum and paper clips, but he got a sack in the Super Bowl. He's been consistent, constantly thought of as one of the best pass rushers in the NFL for the last 100 years, And
I hate it because I don't want to face him twice a year, even with the offensive line upgrades we're doing. I hate it.
Yep.
Well, you're gonna have to suffer with it, and like you said, Dan, he was probably given an extra $5 million just because of the fact that he can get to Mahomes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's a big thing there. And then cornerback Siran Neal, 3 years, $10.9 million, kind of addressing a spot that showed they needed depth with Trey White being out for quite a bit of time. So
it's just a safety blanket.
Yeah,
it's just giving you something in case some shit goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but no, solid except for the McKissick thing that hurts the Bills a little, but very solid free agency so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't also be surprised if they don't try and go for a running back in the draft.
I mean, I know they haven't shown it, but everything you hear from the Bills is we love Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. We love Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. They keep saying they love him.
They're trying to make that the Brandon Jacobs. Oh God, why am I drawing the blank now? That combination that the Giants had. That's what they're trying to do with Zach Moss and Singletary. Obviously, the game's changed, and I don't know. Maybe it's the Buffalo offense and the way that they run, but I just don't feel like they utilize running backs correctly.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care what running back goes there. I don't think they're going to work out very well. They didn't use Marshawn Lynch. You had Marshawn Lynch. You didn't use him well. The only running back that I remember that they tried to use was C.J. Spiller, and he wasn't very good.
Yeah, no, that didn't work out well.
No. But let's move on to the Carolina Panthers. This one's a little bit confusing for me. The Tennessee Titans said, "Thank you for stepping in when Darrington Evans and Derrick Henry were injured. Deontay Foreman, you did exceptionally well. Goodbye." Then he signed with the Carolina Panthers.
Titans got to be in cap hell based on who they've let go already this year. It's crazy. I didn't really look into it, but they're letting everybody go.
It's 1 year, $2 million.
I think that Carolina's doing that on the chance that they might, from my understanding, they might be trading McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And I think that Carolina's thinking about doing that in hopes that they can get themselves Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I mean,
because obviously you throw in McCaffrey into a situation where you're trying to get Watson. That's a very appealing spot for him to land. The same thing with Arizona. If Arizona wants to try and move Kyler Murray, that makes it more appealing to actually trade Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun holds his own cards, but obviously the Texans want to get something out of this because they're already garbage.
I mean, there are so many rumors coming out from Texans. I just don't understand what goes on with that franchise, because things that I've heard, one was confirmed last season that they want to build their entire offense around Brandon Cooks. What?
Yeah, okay, good luck with that.
But they've also...
Don't shit on Cooks. He's good.
He's not someone you build your offense around.
He's old. And it's like, how are you going to build your offense around him? You idiot.
It doesn't make sense.
That's completely right, because for an old man on a shit team with shit quarterbacks, he did pretty damn good.
And
he's quarterback proof in fantasy. Always draft him. He's quarterback proof.
Here's the thing, though. I've also seen reports.
Could you imagine if he was with a good quarterback?
Well, he was.
Oh my God.
He was with a quarterback that was clicking. Yeah, Goff had a couple of years where he was clicking, where Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks were.
Shut up! I'm not hearing Goff argument.
Okay, listen. I am going to say this once. Jared Goff is a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL. Well, starting quarterback.
Okay.
Bottom 5 starting quarterback.
I was about to say you should say this nonce, but I actually agree with you. I thought you were going to say something good about Jared Goff, and I've literally had screaming arguments at bowling over somebody who says that Jared Goff is a good quarterback.
He's not a good quarterback, but he's had good seasons. Not great, but he's had good seasons. So
yeah, that's adorable.
But I've heard from different tweets from insiders that the Texans are not looking for a quarterback in return. They're in on fucking Davis Mills. Like, they are in on Davis Mills.
Mills looked okay. I'd see what he's got. He was a rookie, and he performed all right for having very little support around him.
Supposedly,
hang on. I'm gonna translate this for exactly what they're saying. They're all in on Davis Mills. That's what they're saying. So they don't want a quarterback. chances are they want someone like Carolina who can trade them someone like Christian McCaffrey, and then they're going to fucking have a terrible season, and then after Mills, they're going to go for a quarterback in the next draft because there's no quarterbacks in this draft.
No, there's not.
Right.
We'll talk about that at some point.
Mills has this season to prove if he's really got it. He showed